Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a celebrity reading on Marie Laveau, Voodoo Priestess of New Orleans, Louisiana, psychic reading. And for those of you that are tuning in to my show, thank you so much for being here. If this is the first time that you're tuning in to my channel, please go ahead and hit the bottom right hand corner, the red button on the bottom right hand corner, to subscribe to my channel, and also hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of any future videos that I do publish. For those of you that are also tuning in, be sure to check out my Tea with Spirit show. If you have one question that you would like to ask Spirit, you can submit it to my email, which is raymondguzman@hotmail.com. In the subject line of your email, put Tea with Spirit, and then in the body of your email, have a specific question. Be as specific as possible and put an alias, because if your question is selected, I will be reading it on air live when I have my show, and the show airs every Monday, unless there's a weekend edition, but it airs every Monday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's go ahead and get into Marie Laveau. Now, this woman has her own tomb, if you want to call it that, over there in Louisiana, and it's been rumored that she was a voodoo priestess, and that she was very much into the practice of voodoo, and she was feared. There's many legends that go around her. So whether this is an authentic photo or not, I'm just using it here for just to have like an image here. But I am going to try to tune into the soul energy, and going into this, I had to sage and say a prayer. So I'm just trying to get the truth across as to who she was and how she felt. And when I tune into the soul energy, what is coming through very strongly is that she was a very fearless woman, but her childhood growing up was very traumatic. I do feel like she was abused by family members, to be honest. That's what I'm getting. And there was a lot of that going on, and it was a lot of mental abuse and things that she would have seen growing up that made her kind of revolt and turn into her spiritual side. But she was a natural born medium. I feel like she was a natural born psychic medium and physical, so she had a strong connection to spirit even before going into the practice of voodoo. When I'm looking into the picture here, whether this is her, an actual portrait of her or not, I can see things in the photos, and I see a lot of spirit in the background. An image of an African American male, and he's looking very close to her heart and to her soul. And I also get some children there that she would have been very fond of. There's a lot of spirits here, and oddly enough, there's somebody that was in her life that was kind of psychotic, as weird as that sounds. So that's the way it comes through. They were not, and I feel like this was a female who, she had to deal with that was not good mentally. I feel like this could have been an estranged family member, but I get that female was very thin in her appearance, very prominent cheekbones, very thin, nothing like the picture that you see here of Marie. And I feel like this was on the mom's side of the family, but that's what's coming through very strongly. I do see that she had a strong level of spiritual protection around her. Was she a bad person? I don't feel like Marie Laveau, in all due respect, that she was a bad person. I feel like a lot of legends have been told about her, and have, there may be some certain levels of truth to those legends about her, because that's the culture, behind her, and that New Orleans is a very predominant area of magic and voodoo and mysticism. So there's these are stories that that were passed down generations, and they can't be changed, and they're to be respected. But I do feel like she did experience a lot of heartache, a lot of hardships, and she did turn to magic to find a release and outlet, and she tapped into that. And I feel like there was another woman that taught her the roots of voodoo. I feel like there was a very strong energy early on that would have taught her the roots of voodoo, and what exactly it consisted of, and how it could be used to kind of balance energies, because people automatically assume that voodoo is bad, that it's used to hurt people, and that's a big misconception. There is, just like any kind of magic, like witchcraft, there's white witchcraft, and there's black magic, and then there's the gray, which is a use of between good and black magic, white magic and black magic, the best of both worlds. So that's kind of like what I feel like she was. I feel like it wasn't just voodoo that she was well versed in, but also hoodoo, which is another religion. It's almost another custom. It's basically using like different principles of Catholicism mixed with different religions and different teachings and customs. And basically a lot of people that would use hoodoo can secure power over souls, or secure their place in the spirit realm when they cross over, and also maybe control some of souls that are around them that may have done them bad or whatnot. There's a lot of different interpretations to it, but I feel like she was very well versed in all of these areas. It wasn't just voodoo. People pegged her to be the voodoo priestess, or a high priestess of voodoo, but I feel like it was beyond that, that she learned it. And I feel like she also was a healer in many ways, and so she actually did remedies, and she knew how to heal people, and they would come to her for advice. I feel like she was very well in reading people. She could read them as well. So there's a lot that wasn't documented, I feel, in the books, but the natives of New Orleans, people that would be tuning in, may know this already, and this may not be anything new to them. I do feel like she had to cut a lot of things out of her life and push people away. I also feel like they were racist to her, especially because she was mixed. She was part African American, part Caucasian, and I feel like she had other mixtures as well, possibly some French, but in her bloodline. But I feel like she was never fully. She didn't feel like she fully fit in and during that time period. And I feel like there was a lot of people that were confused, and it comes across almost like she felt kind of like an outcast. And people, back then there was no news, so whatever took place at that time, whether it was street gossip in the market or whatever, it spread fast like wildfire. And I feel like there was a lot of people that were jealous of her, other women that would have accused her of being with their men. So she also was accused of being almost like, someone that was a prostitute in many ways. And I mean, with all due respect, that's what's coming through. So I feel like, she was labeled that way, and that's not how she really was. But people were jealous because she loved to dress, in a certain way that exhibited her feminine charms. And she also was very, very beautiful woman. I don't feel like Marie Laveau was someone that was ugly at all. I get that she was a very beautiful woman and had that natural beauty, of course. So it was like many people just didn't really understand her. I also feel like she had a lot of she wanted to succeed. I think she was ahead of her time when it came to money, and wanting to take this craft that she had a lot further. But there was things back then, being a woman, that was very discriminatory. A lot of men were they would discriminate against the women, and they would treat them less than that. But she kind of held her own up there with magic. There was a lot of men that feared being cursed by her, and I do feel like she did do some curses here and there, and then later remove them. But that's what I'm getting from her soul and from my spirit guides, that she did do some curses, but she did remove them. They can be broken, because she saw that the karmic effect that it would have had on her soul in the afterlife and going forward. A lot of betrayal from the guy that she was in love with. I feel like the guy was not faithful to her, and he did have different affairs. And she has like a lot of anger towards men at a certain period during her younger years. And things just didn't go her way after that. I feel like it was a struggle to live, to eat. There was a lot of struggles around her. That's what I'm getting. A lot of depression, a lot of things that she was battling. And she just tried to find her best outlet in life. And kind of, I feel like she did teach a lot of people. There was younger girls that came to her that wanted to know the secrets of voodoo. And she would give them, like potions, trinkets, things like that, to remedies or, concoctions to help them. So like I said, I feel like she was like a medicine woman in many ways. She was very much like a shaman, a culmination of different facets of magic. She just wasn't just a voodoo priestess, but again, this is my energy. This is what I'm getting from her energy and soul and from spirit. But you don't have to agree with it. Those of you that would be natives of Louisiana, of New Orleans, that may be very connected. There's a lot of things that y'all may know that are a little bit different or told a little bit different by many people. But this is what I am getting. And I feel like there was a lot of adversity around her where she just couldn't, get to the point where she was entirely happy. I feel like there was problems with her home. The space that she was living in was very run down, dilapidated. There was a lot of inconveniences. She didn't live a fancy life like people think. I don't feel like she was living a very royal type of, posh life. It was a very, very simple times. And she did enjoy cooking. She did enjoy eating. Food was a comfort. And I feel like how she dealt with her emotions would have been to food. And she didn't want to forgive that man, which would have been her husband or the person that she was with. She didn't want to forgive him at all. There was a certain level where she was patient, she was tolerant. She kept seeing his infidelity and what he was doing, and she kept quiet. And then I feel like she did curse him. I get that she would have done that. And she feels very much vindicated now that she's passed into spirit. She doesn't want that title, that she was the voodoo priestess. I don't feel like she really agrees with it, but, she's going to be one of those icons that are considered a historic icon and always live. She also had several conditions. I'm getting from her nose that she had nosebleeds at certain times. I feel like this was something to do with her vascular system. And they said that the legend is that she died in her home, but I feel like she, even though that is true, I feel like she had some problems with her kidneys, because when I tune into her soul and energy, my kidneys are hurting, and I can feel her death almost like what. So I feel like there was organs that shut down, and I feel like she may have suffered from diabetes, and that kind of contributed to her kidneys not working or functioning well. So there was a lot of fluid buildup as well in the abdominal area, but I feel like what ultimately took her was part of her her kidneys not functioning well, and then just like the system just got septic in many ways. So it was just like after that, other organs shut down and she couldn't breathe well at the end. But going into spirit, I feel like she was earthbound for many years, and she did haunt a lot of people that would have done her wrong, because there was a lot of men that did her wrong, and women too, that were still alive after she passed. So I do get that she would have been around that area, and people may still see her ghost. I don't feel like she's reincarnated yet, and I don't feel like she plans on at any time right now. I feel like she is still stuck in a space between earthbound and being crossed over. That's the kind of space that I get, the kind of energy that I get, and I'm seeing here. And I feel like the more that people go to her tomb, the more that people go and look at her pictures and things like that, is the more they keep that image alive. They keep her soul more earthbound than anything. But even if she was trying to cross over with the assistance of a medium, I just feel like she has so much power that she accumulated in her lifetime through the hoodoo, the voodoo, and all the other things that she was into, that she is such a strong energy that she refuses to cross over. So even if she was to, get a strong medium or a group of mediums, or even if an exorcism was done to cross this lady over, she wouldn't go. That's how she is. She was stubborn, and she still is in death, in spirit form. She is still stubborn to this day. That's what I get from her soul, and I do feel like she does have a certain level of protection around the tomb. That's not folklore. I do feel like people that would go and desecrate that area would find out very soon, what happens to them from her. Like I said, she has a lot of souls with her. In many ways, it's so weird. I would call her the soul collector. in many ways. She collected a lot of souls in death and carries them with her, around her, because I see it when I look into this photo, regardless if this is her or not. I can see spirits all around her actual soul, tons of them, a lot of spiritual protection. So this is a lady that you would need to respect and really not mess with her, talk bad about Marie Laveau, because again, nothing good can come out of that. I do get also that she, towards the end of her life, she was just resigned, and I feel like she fell into a big depression, and this is what contributed. She didn't take care of herself at the end. I feel like she had a lot of ailments, heart issues too, apart from the kidneys and all that. So it was just a culmination of things, and I feel like, her kids, she supposedly had two daughters or two children. I feel like they were not very, she didn't get along with them. They didn't get along with her. There was a lot of bickering, a lot of control, and they didn't agree with everything that she would have done in her life. So they kind of like just ostracized themselves from her. And that's the energy that I get. But going into her transition into spirit, I don't feel like she was fearful at all. She didn't have a fearful bone in her body. And that's what I get from her. So I do feel like in essence the New Orleans folklore, the tales are very true in many ways. But was she a bad woman? Was she someone that I don't feel like she is. That's not what I get from her soul. I feel like, she did use magic, but magic is not always used, like I said, for bad things. It can be used for the good, for the greater good. And I see that even though she did collect a lot of souls in death, and she has a lot of that now that she has, with her, she did a lot of good during her time too, which is something that a lot of people may or may not agree with, but I feel like she did help a lot of people. She gave them advice, spiritual advice. She would have helped them with herbs and healing them. She knew a lot of things about, using herbs to heal people. And I feel like, her daughters carried that magic with them in their bloodline. So any race right now that would have the bloodline somehow mixed with Marie Laveau, any of those ancestors that are now in this new generation, they would be magical beings as well, because that is passed down. Her natural born abilities, spiritual abilities are passed down generations. So this is what I get from Marie Laveau. I hope you did enjoy this psychic reading. I will be doing some different celebrity readings and different historical readings on historical figures as well. So stay tuned. If you have any suggestions on who you would like for me to read, please put in the comment section below. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to check my new book out. You can purchase it on my website if you want an autographed copy. It's called Starseed Footsteps, and it is a book that discusses different topics, spiritual topics, such as angels, souls crossing over, twin flames, angels, demons, the occult, all kinds of different topics, and they go into depth. The reviews have been very positive about it. A lot of people find it that it's like a mini encyclopedia to the spirit world, etc. So be sure to check it out, and blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day.